Should we live towards other planets and, focus more on exploring life and extraplanetary possibilities? This is a very cutesy question, I can say, but it kind of stinks too much of ignorance to actually really take it into account. Why? Because, well, we have a major debt towards Mother Nature. We've been living like big ignorance. We have been kept in ignorance, yes, but we have accepted this for thousands of generations. Now, the point is, there was no one to help or teach each of the generations how to take care of their children, so they only impulsively did what they knew. Well, what they could or what they knew, which usually meant breaking their children into obedience. And of course, now, so many of these people also use this as a justification because, well, everything that people want to do, they also feel like they need to justify it because that's how you lie. Every time you lie, especially to yourself, you have to justify it. You have to build those false reasons, those false structures to support your ideas. Which is kind of also problematic because it goes to show how much people can lie themselves to, which goes to show again that people really don't know much about themselves. And as people lie themselves, it means that they really don't care about what reality truly is, because reality is in two types: the real reality and the one that people imagine. And we all know that it's much harder to convince people that they've been fooled rather than, fooling them. So nowadays we can see, so much transparency from billionaires. They again prove us constantly that, well, they simply don't care about us, and the ignorance will always expect these people to solve the problems of the planet. Now, why do I say that they simply don't care about us? Well, Michael Jackson also said in his songs, and so many people sang throughout history, that society simply doesn't care about you. And the very simple fact that your life sucks and you feel that your life is bad is simply because of this. No one cares about society, no one cares about you, and you also don't care about yourself. Consider that everyone in the world doesn't care about them. And when you look at many of the billionaires, they all seem to be like robots, right? They all seem to be these drones built in the same, by the same embryo. They kind of all function the same way. They all have the same robotic gaze. They all have the same, way they manifest. It's like they have the same coding. And at the same time, it's like they're all bent on, survival. They have all the billions in the world, but all they care is survival. They just buy everything, they ruin other people, they simply are the embodiment of society's ills, because they are just people like us. Well, of course, they might be clones, they might be robots, whatever. Ultimately, if we take it, they are still humans. At least they look humanoid. And the point is, they are just like us, right? They are just some ignorance who got their grubby hands on some power, and of course, ignorance will always live in survival only, because ignorance means survival. And of course, ignorance will always prevail in the case that it is always much easier to be an ignorant and follow the crowd than become an, well, let's say, a person who's capable of thinking towards themselves, right? Thinking for their own selves, and, well, doing something that will make the future generations better. And, of course, doing something for their own existence. So the point about this is we have accepted life and, living as ignorance, which led to us, well, laying waste to the whole planet, more or less. Now, the planet is not gonna die. We're never gonna be able to kill the planet. We can throw all our bombs on the planet. Of course, we will make it somewhat uninhabitable to life, but new life forms will bloom because there is only life around. Yes, sure, we have created this hideous concept of death, but that's only a principle used by religion to simply spook you that after you die, there's gonna be Big Brother watching you around. And, well, guess what? We actually have Big Brother here on the planet. So why worry about, like, if every one of your actions is watched here by Big Brother, and people are gossiping about you all the time, and the only thing that ignorance will care is what you do or what they believe you're doing, and you're always doing wrong things, why do you care about being judged by some white bearded fuck? After all, for thousands of years we thought that, God is beyond the clouds, and then through science we have proven that, well, beyond the clouds there is simply no God. Now, of course, I think I specified indirectly in some videos that, well, God is kind of an embodiment of, humanity's incapacities, and it's kind of the God of slavery in a way, or better said, it's kind of a slave God rather than a God of slavery. Because the point is, God must fulfill people's aspects and desires and wills, right? Please God, God's will. And people always use this as a target, right? They are a victim of this creation, right? This God that simply doesn't care about you. So basically, they are just a representative of ignorance. They don't care about you. All they think about doing is just, sitting in their couch, most likely, and watching Earth TV to see what humans are doing, as if this planet is the only center of the universe and, well, the only point of existence in the universe. Now, the cutesy question about going on other planets, well, of course, so many people see around about Elon Musk and all these billionaires having literally nothing else to do about discussing how they are buying space everywhere. Like, they're having all the billions in the world and their life is so miserable and shit that the only thing they have to do is buy even more, because it's like an addiction to them already. When you have so much money in the world, again, money is nothing else than a byproduct that we collectively agreed upon. And of course, people in their ignorance still accept that money should be powerful. What if one day people will say, okay, you take all the dollars and the such that you want and you do whatever you want with them, because everything that you have, it's us, the population, that gives you. The corporations work based on the power of the people. So the point is, well, if the people suddenly decided, hey, you know what, we're gonna make a junction breach, and, well, we're all gonna say, hey, Microsoft no longer belongs to you all. We're all gonna simply rebrand the company into something else, and, well, we're just gonna throw you out. Of course, people are gonna fear, so many things, but imagine all the people at Microsoft all around the world deciding as one upon this action, right? Like, you can simply imagine this. Now, I'm not speaking about overthrowing the billionaires necessarily, although to a certain extent that's kind of where the world is going and where the world must go, because, well, all they're doing is buying everything from the people to simply assert their own power, which goes to show that they don't care about you. And you can see that they're buying space, and, like, who the fuck gave you permission to buy space? Like, space is there, you don't have to buy it. Ultimately, they will simply have to impose you on air. After all, throughout the ages, they have convinced you that taxes are good, everything that you get must be taxed, but they don't pay taxes, right? So are they actually evil? Well, they might actually be. I'm not gonna say yes or no to this. Everyone must come to their own points, because, well, I'm not the kind of person to provide people with a flat answer. People must learn to use their discernment. Now, the point about this is, they're bombarding us with all sorts of distractions, right? Like, Bill Gates is presenting himself as this person who's always interested in the people. He's doing vaccinations. He's doing so much effort for people while, behind the curtains, he's constantly purchasing land from the farmers, and, he's like literally ruining America's agriculture. And, other billionaires are buying space on the moon. Others are buying space on Mars. And, it's like, it is said that a Japanese billionaire wants to create the first, resort on the moon, and is like, well, I'm actually very curious about this. Will they actually say, well, obviously they will say you can't get there unless you're vaccinated, but I'm sure you'll still have to wear a face mask in there, because that's how far their charades go, right? And all they're doing is they're dividing the world now even further with, the two castes of the world, the vaccinated and the non-vaccinated people. And of course, this hopefully is not gonna go into greater divides, because the problem is, people who have vaccinated themselves, they expect that everything will be better, so they will actually demand from society that they are spared and they are given all the advantages, which kind of society seems to be doing, because, well, they need the support of the vaccinated people. They need to get as many people on their side so that they support the system as it's kind of been up till now, because the idiocy and the ignorance of people has been supporting the system. So no, we shouldn't be looking upon other planets, right? Like, we already have the closest solar system, which is like 4 billion, or like, what was it? It was 4 light years, okay? It's like, it doesn't matter how many millions of kilometers there are. It's said that it's 4 light years away. Now, we might secretly have that technology. People may have already ended up there, but the point is, they said there is nothing habitable in there, and the planets that may be habitable are, well, far away. Now, the question that comes is, well, why should we be leaving this planet? We haven't taken any responsibility towards it. We have laid waste to it. Guess what will happen to the next planet we will inhabit? And, well, you can see how much responsibility billionaires are taking towards that. At the very first sign of danger, they are simply running away, which just goes to show that they're nothing else than ignorant people, just like they have made the whole society be. Because ignorant people will always want everyone else to be at least as ignorant as them. Because ignorant people will always want to rule over others, because that's how they justify their existence. If you are on top of the others, that's like a kind of an achievement. It is a great justification. And of course, all they want is dominion, because, well, when you are in survival, you can only accept dominion and, well, the aspect of survival. And, well, that's why so much manipulation and distortion of the truth. Now, the point is, well, hopefully you have become more aware that, well, kind of no one really cares about you. And look at all the billionaires. All they're talking about is creating spacecraft to simply go on the moon. But you need people to take them there. What will you do? Will you do the same thing as with Red Faction universe, right? The miners that were taken to Mars, they were simply turned into slaves and they rebelled, and basically that's the story of the game. So the point is, humanity shouldn't accept to fragment itself even more, because, well, any other structure that they will build anywhere in space, it's gonna take much more, because, well, you need a lot more stability, which, well, many people will probably want to live in space, but only billionaires will, most likely, because everything will be, priced for them. And of course, the reason why the prices will be huge is that, ignorant people, and especially billionaires, they always have this impulse. They want to be the first. And when they want to be the first, it's obvious that they will be the first over there, so it will take far more for the population to actually get in there, right? They will probably even make videos, right? They will keep distracting the people with videos about what resorts have been built and how they look, because it's all about drawing your attention, drawing away your attention. It's like, don't worry about the problems of the world, they're gonna solve themselves. Like, no, they're not gonna ever solve themselves. You have to work towards that. We have to bring the planet back, right? We can live with technology, but we also can live with, powerful agricultural systems that support the planet. Such planet like ours was scientifically proven that it can house over 100 billion people. Everyone says nowadays, oh my god, overpopulation of the planet, but have you ever been to America? Like, I haven't, but think about that. The country that is, well, a bunch of countries basically, because it's the United States, right? It's the size of, let's say, half the North American continent, and they only have around 300 million people, right? And it's like, when you want to go from one of their big cities to another, it's like you're going 3, 4, 5 hours through utter wilderness. Where's the overpopulation? Like, yes, surely we are still destroying habitats of animals, but where's the overpopulation? If you think about the sci-fi movies, right, the sci-fi worlds, which also are a very great poison because they kind of shape people into believing what they would like the world to be. But unfortunately, sci-fis always have this bad habit of portraying the bad because people have been programmed to focus on the bad. So kind of all sci-fis are nothing else than dystopias, right? There is nothing about the good. There is nothing about how things can end up in a good way. No, 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 no. Everything has to be a problem. And when you dish the problem, when you solve the problem, you only solve the problem, right? You're never taught to solve the cause because the problem is a result of a very big cause. Just like, many people. No one cares about people nowadays. All they care about is money and fame and reputation. And I also made a reputation video, right? A video about reputation and why it is just another poison. So the point about this is, well, in this world where, this world is so fake that, the truth even scares people, like scares a lot of people. Now, one should actually take this into account very seriously. Because why should we ever leave the planet? If we ever leave the planet, well, it's not that great because we're just gonna leave a beautiful jewel that is laid waste to. Now, of course, the planet regenerates, and let's say if we all leave the planet, which will always be impossible because the population will be left behind, don't they ever think that the billionaires will ever give a dime to actually take you away, right? All they're doing is, they're buying everything. They're just justifying this drug addiction that they have to purchase everything. Everything must have a big price for them. The first resort that they will build in their own circle, they will design so great prices just to justify that they have this power to buy and buy and buy, right? They will say the ticket to going to the first space resort will be $6 billion, and they will actually fight for that because that's how fake they are, right? It's like those people on Instagram and TikTok and the such who the only thing they do is they post more photos of them and look at my perfect life and look at this and look at that. It's the same thing with billionaires. It's just billionaires have a lot more money. And of course their life is most likely boring because all you have to do as billionaires is you have to go from one meeting to another. Sure, you get a lot of money, have a lot of influence, but again, I simply don't like this idea of being rich, specifically after a certain limit where, in order to keep your richness, you have to always attend boring meetings, you have to keep up with people, you have to do so many things, and, I'm not the kind to keep up with thousands of people. I'm okay with several friends, several people who can back me up when I need and whom I can back up in return. So should we leave this beautiful planet? No. We have great responsibilities towards Mother Earth. We have great responsibilities of teaching our next generations how to learn, how to become better themselves, because through that they will become more sensitive. Once they become more sensitive, they will fight against ignorance. And that will mean that they will find better ways of, creating sustainable agriculture, creating sustainable ways of existence. Because we have the knowledge, but, well, we are called the human race. Where are we racing though? The greatest investments that we have is in the military. Why in the military? Are we fighting some animal races suddenly? Do we need tanks to kill animals? I don't see any reason why we have so much military, right? So all this being said, you are appreciated. Take care. Ferenc Board signing out.